Welcome to the Concern Podcast, where we unpack political, social, economic, and cultural stories shaping our world. I am Emmanuel Taban. Now, as many of you may know, that if not all, most of the African heads of states are in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, for the 39 AU Summit of Heads of State. And while the summit concluded, yesterday on the sidelines, there was a meeting that was attended by high-level institutions and heads of state, and that is on issues regarding South Sudan. A meeting attended by the high-level committee, which is also known as the C5, which was chaired by the President of South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, and the meeting was attended by quite so many people. We had the AU chairperson and the other team. We have the United Nations, we have IGAD, and other East African members like Rwanda, Kenya, and they're very interesting individuals who attended it. And before we proceed with this video, here are some of the pictures taken during that event. On the sidelines of the Africa Union Summit. Here are the pictures. Yes, so that was a very important meeting that was held on the sidelines of the Africa Union Summit. And as you see, there were so many important individuals and institutions that actually attended that meeting. The Africa Union, the United Nations, the IGAD, and some East African leaders as well, they attended. And in that meeting, there were so many issues that were discussed regarding South Sudan. Of course, the high-level team or the ad hoc team oversees the implementation of the peace agreement in South Sudan. It is a commission, I think, designated by the Africa Union to actually look on the implementation of the peace agreement that was signed in 2018 in Ethiopia, in South Sudan. And that committee is chaired by the President of South Africa. And in that meeting, they actually convened after a very long time. The last time they sat for a similar meeting was in 2008, exactly when the peace agreement was signed. And in between, there wasn't a sitting of that meeting. And on the sidelines of the African Union yesterday, on Sunday, these individuals convened, and the delegation from South Sudan was as well present, represented by the President of the Republic of South Sudan, Salva Kiir Mayardit, and they discussed and agreed on so many issues. One of the issues that was discussed and agreed on during that high-level meeting was that the South Sudanese government should actually use the revitalized peace agreement as a legal instrument upon which the progress of the revitalized peace agreement should be measured. And that means the peace agreement with all its articles and everything in there should be used as a legal instrument that should measure the progress of the peace agreement. Number two, they also agreed that there should be the release of political detainees, and in this includes the first Vice President, Dr. Riek Machar, who is in detention for nearly a year. They agreed that the political detainees and first Vice President Riek Machar should unconditionally be released. The committee also agreed that the elections in 2026 that is scheduled to happen this year must go on, and that it should be free and fair and very, people should participate in it for those who qualify, and people should have their choices to make if they want to be in one political party or choose. It should be a free and fair election. That is also one of the things that they agreed upon. And the committee also agreed that the government of South Sudan should have the dialogue that includes all opposition political parties and also those who were not signatories to the revitalized peace agreement before the election, that these committees or these political factions should all come together and get involved in the dialogue that is to take place. And these are some of the things that were agreed upon in that meeting. I don't know if this is what is going to be done or this is going to be implemented, because some of the issues that were agreed upon are very sensitive issues, especially the one regarding the release of the first vice president. I don't know if that is going to happen or no. That is going to be upon the government of South Sudan. But in that meeting, both parties agreed. The committee and the government of South Sudan discussed about the release of political detainees, including the first vice president, Dr. Riek Machar. And that is one thing that we're going to watch in the next few days, how it is going to happen, especially with the government of South Sudan, if they are going to take that into consideration or they're just going to leave it in that discussion room and leave it there. But these are some of the things that were discussed. Now, one thing I have discovered about these international individuals or bodies that act as the mediators toward our peace in the country, I've realized that some of the problems that we are facing as a country is a result of these individuals who are actually acting as mediators to the peace agreement. Because one thing this committee failed to realize during that meeting is that some of the articles in the peace agreement in which they insist should be the legal instrument upon which the progress of the peace agreement is measured, some of these articles already changed, completely changed. So, especially when we're talking about the elections, the peace agreement dictates that there shouldn't be an election before a population census is conducted, before a permanent constitution is actually drafted. But up to now, no population census has been done, and no permanent constitution has been also written. But the government of South Sudan is insisting that they will go ahead with the elections come December this year, 2026. And again, the committee argued that the peace agreement should be the legal instrument upon which the progress of the peace agreement is measured. So if we look at these 2 points, then that means there is no progress at all, right, from that meeting, because some of these articles have already been changed. And second of all, we're also looking about the representation as dictated in the peace agreement. When we look at the representation written in the peace agreement, upon which all political factions are supposed to have their portion of representatives in the government, and the current representation, they are not the same. Right now, we've seen so many people replaced, and they have been replaced by loyalists to President Kiir. People who are not even supposed to be in the other faction, they have been brought in, replacing specific people who are supposed to occupy those positions according to the peace agreement. That is also another violation of the peace agreement. And therefore, how are we going to say that the peace agreement should be the legal instrument or legal tool upon which the progress of the peace agreement should be measured, when already there are some of the articles that are violated, and we are going to see more of them being violated in future? I think this is one biggest weakness. And also the African, that committee said that there must be an election happening. The election agreed upon should be one happening. I mean, if the peace agreement says there shouldn't be an election until a permanent constitution is actually drafted and population census is done, then why should this commission, which is tasked with overseeing the implementation of the peace agreement, go ahead to endorse an election happening this year in December? I think this is the biggest problem. Sometimes our problem is those people who act as mediators, who they actually cause for us most of the problems in our country today. Because some of the articles, some of the agreements that actually form the revitalized peace agreement are created by these individuals, and the country today is suffering because of these decisions that are in the peace agreement, especially things to do with creating so many ministries that are giving burden to the economy of the country, yet they know that this is a country that is newly formed and needs a lot of finances to actually fund all these ministries. They created 35 ministries that are being a burden to the economy. These are some of the problems that these mediators have created for us. And I feel that our problem sometimes is not us as South Sudanese, but our problems are in those people masquerading as peace mediators. Their interests are completely different from what is in there. They have completely different interests, I think, on South Sudan. So I feel that that meeting that was held on the sidelines of the African Union summit was a failure at the onstart, because some of the things they agreed on are already being violated. So many of them are being violated to a very greater extent. And I feel there's not even going to be a political will. There is going to be lack of political will from the government of South Sudan and even the opposition. They've called upon ceasefire and that both sides should stop all these fighting that is going on, but I don't think this is going to happen. The IO or the opposition is not going to do that very soon. And they have given their condition that for them to get involved in any peace or dialogue, there must be unconditional release of First Vice President Riek Machar. And that is something that the committee agreed on. But we don't know if President Salva Kiir and his government are going to agree on that. Anyway, guys, that is what we have for today. And this is what transpired from the African Union Summit of Heads of State happening in Addis Ababa. Write down in the comment section what you think about the matter happening that happened yesterday in Addis Ababa regarding the committee that sat on the sidelines of the African Union. Thank you guys anyway. Until next time, I'm Emmanuel Taban and this is the Concern Podcast. Before we close today's episode, here's a quick message from our sponsor, Wani.co. If you've been planning to build a website but the cost has been holding you back, Wani.co makes it affordable and stress-free this time around. Whether you are an individual, a non-profit organization or a business, Wani.co designs professional websites starting from as cheap as $250. Individuals can actually launch with a starter website of up to 7 pages and a free email, or choose an advanced option with unlimited pages, a professional portfolio and branding support. For non-profit organizations, they can select flexible packages from basic websites to premium solutions with e-commerce features and ongoing support. And for business companies, Wani.co delivers company-ready website with hosting, staff training and multilingual options and online stores. And the best part of it is actually that you can build your dream website within your budget. Wani.co is an affordable, accessible and professional partner. And to get started, you can actually visit Wani.co or email them at info@wani.co, or you can get in touch with them through their WhatsApp number at +1 226 504 3322. Wani.co, proudly affiliated with Jobs to Apply. And if you're wondering of what I'm talking about, here are some samples of website created by Wani.co. You can see them right here.